Right now, you're probably humming Pink Floyd and thinking I've lost my mind. The dark side of the moon is one of the most famous concepts in human culture. It's been the title of legendary albums, the setting for science fiction stories, and a phrase everyone uses to describe the mysterious hidden half of our celestial neighbor. But here's the mind-blowing truth that's going to shatter everything you think you know about the moon. There is no dark side. None. Zero. Every part of the moon gets sunlight for about 2 weeks at a time, just like every part of Earth gets day and night. I know this sounds impossible. We've been talking about the dark side of the moon for so long that it feels like a fundamental fact about space. Pink Floyd made it legendary. Science fiction writers have used it as the perfect hiding place for alien bases, but stick with me because this is going to blow your mind and change how you see the moon forever. The confusion comes from mixing up two different things, the dark side and the far side. Understanding this difference is going to make you realize just how amazing our moon really is. Here's what's actually happening up there. The moon is what scientists call tidally locked to Earth. This means it rotates on its axis at exactly the same rate that it orbits around Earth. It takes about 27.3 days to spin once on its axis and exactly the same time to complete one orbit around our planet. This perfect synchronization means we always see the same face of the moon from Earth. Always. For the entire history of human civilization, we've only seen about 59% of the moon's surface from our planet. That other 41%, that's the far side, not the dark side, but here's where it gets incredible. While we're only seeing one side of the moon, the sun is shining on different parts of it throughout the month. During a new moon, when the moon is between Earth and the sun, the side facing us is in shadow, but the far side is completely lit up by sunlight. Think about this. When we have a new moon and can't see the moon in our sky at all, the entire far side is experiencing bright daylight. 2 weeks later, during a full moon, our side is fully lit while the far side is in complete darkness. The dark side is actually the bright side half the time. This will mess with your head even more. If you were standing on the far side of the moon, you would experience about 14 days of continuous sunlight followed by 14 days of continuous darkness. Just like every other part of the moon, the only difference is that you'd never see Earth in your sky. It would always be hidden behind the moon itself. So where did this persistent dark side myth come from? Here's what's fascinating about human psychology and language. Because we can't see the far side from Earth, it became mysterious and unknown. Dark doesn't just mean lacking light, it also means mysterious, unknown, hidden, like when we say someone has a dark secret or talk about the Dark Ages. The far side was literally dark to human knowledge for thousands of years. We had no idea what was over there. No human had ever seen it. It was the ultimate mystery, the cosmic unknown. The place where anything could be hiding. But then something incredible happened. In 1959, the Soviet Luna 3 spacecraft became the first human-made object to photograph the far side of the moon. For the first time in human history, we could see what was hiding on the other side of our celestial companion. And what did we find? Mind blown, the far side looks completely different from the near side. It's covered in massive craters and has very few of those dark, smooth areas we call maria or seas. The near side has large, dark plains created by ancient volcanic activity, but the far side is almost entirely covered in bright, heavily cratered highlands. This difference is fascinating, and scientists are still trying to understand why the two sides look so different. One theory is that the far side has a thicker crust that prevented volcanic activity from reaching the surface. Here's something that'll blow your mind about the Apollo missions. When the Apollo astronauts went behind the moon, they experienced something no human had ever experienced before: complete radio silence from Earth. They were the only humans in the universe cut off from all contact with their home planet. Michael Collins, who orbited the moon alone while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the surface, described the far side as magnificent desolation. He was literally the most isolated human being in history, farther from any other human than anyone had ever been, but even those Apollo astronauts confirmed what we now know. There's no permanently dark side. They watched the sun rise and set over the lunar landscape just like it does everywhere else on the moon. The only difference was the view. Instead of seeing Earth hanging in the black sky, they saw nothing but stars and the cosmic void. Here's what's really wild about lunar phases and why this dark side myth is so persistent. From Earth, we see the moon go through its phases: new moon, crescent, half moon, gibbous, full moon, and it creates this illusion that part of the moon is always dark, but that's just our perspective from Earth. The phases happen because we're seeing different amounts of the sunlit portion of the moon as it orbits around us. It's like watching someone walk around a campfire with a flashlight. Sometimes you see their lit face, sometimes their shadowy back, but the light is always shining on them from the same direction. The moon is essentially doing the same thing as it orbits Earth. The sun is always lighting up half of the moon. It's just that sometimes we can see that lit half, sometimes we can't, and sometimes we can see part of it. Here's another mind-bending fact. Because the moon is tidally locked to Earth, if you were standing on the near side of the moon, Earth would appear to hang motionless in your sky. It would never rise or set. It would just sit there, slowly going through phases as day and night cycled on Earth, but Earth would be huge in the lunar sky, about 4 times bigger than the moon appears to us. And it would be incredibly bright, reflecting sunlight back to the moon's surface. In fact, Earthlight on the moon is much brighter than moonlight on Earth. This is why sometimes you can see the dark part of a crescent moon faintly glowing. It's being lit up by light reflected from Earth. Astronauts call this Earth shine, and it's bright enough to read by on the lunar surface. Here's something incredible about modern space exploration. We now have spacecraft orbiting the moon that can photograph both sides continuously. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has taken millions of images showing the entire moon in incredible detail. We can watch the sun rise and set over every part of the lunar surface, but the dark side myth is so deeply ingrained in our culture that it just won't die. Pink Floyd's album is still called The Dark Side of the Moon. Science fiction still talks about hiding things on the dark side. Even though we've completely explored and mapped the entire moon, the myth persists. There's something almost poetic about this misconception. The moon has been humanity's constant companion for our entire existence. It's influenced our calendars, our tides, our mythology, and our imagination. The idea that part of it was forever hidden from us, forever dark and mysterious, captured our imaginations powerfully, but the reality is actually way more fascinating than the myth. The moon's tidally locked rotation is an incredible cosmic coincidence that gives us this stable view of one face while the other remains forever hidden from our direct sight. It's like having a cosmic friend who always faces you but never turns around. And here's what's really amazing. The moon wasn't always tidally locked. Billions of years ago, it rotated much faster and we could see all sides of it from Earth, but gravitational forces gradually slowed its rotation until it synchronized with its orbit. This process is still happening with other moons in our solar system. The moon is actually slowly moving away from Earth, about 1.5 inches per year. Eventually, billions of years from now, the moon will be so far away that tidal locking might break down. But by then, the sun will have expanded into a red giant and destroyed both Earth and the moon anyway. Here's the beautiful irony of the dark side myth. We created this mysterious, unknowable place in our imaginations, and when we finally got there, we discovered something even more amazing, a completely different world with its own unique geography and history, forever hidden from Earth but fully illuminated by the same sun that lights our world. Next time someone talks about the dark side of the moon, you can blow their mind with this incredible knowledge. Tell them there's no permanent dark side, that it's actually the far side, and that every part of the moon gets 2 weeks of daylight and 2 weeks of night. Just like Earth, the universe is full of these fascinating misconceptions where our limited perspective creates myths that feel true but are actually completely wrong. Sometimes the real science is even more amazing than the myths we create. Pretty wild how one of our most persistent space myths comes from confusing hidden with dark, isn't it? Makes you wonder what other cosmic facts we take for granted are actually just misunderstandings based on our earthbound perspective. If you want more mind-bending space facts that'll completely shatter common myths and show you how amazing the real universe is compared to our misconceptions, make sure to hit that subscribe button for Astral Awe, because we're just getting started with cosmic revelations that'll leave you absolutely speechless.